In this video, we're going to talk about specialization and trade. When we talk about international trade, it's helpful to think of simple examples. And in this example, let's consider that we've got two countries, Canada and the United States. Each one has a domestic production capacity. They can make things and grow things at home. And again, for the sake of simplicity, we'll say each one has two domestic industries. They can produce things in factories, let's call them vehicles, and they can grow crops for food. Within each country, there's a domestic labor force. And for the sake of simplicity, we'll say there are 4 units of labor. It could be 4 million, 4,000, 40,000, however you want to characterize it, but we'll call it 4 units of labor just for the sake of comparison. They divide those equally. Their workforce is equally divided between food production and manufacturing. If we look at the totals, we can see that with those 2 units of labor, Canada can grow 400 units of food, compared to the United States that can grow 50 units of food. Canada can manufacture 100 cars, and the Americans 50. So there's a few different things going on there. For one, we can see that with 4 units of labor, Canada is producing more things. They have a more productive labor force. That could be from a number of different factors. We say they have an absolute advantage because they can produce more total things with the same units of labor. But more importantly, they also have what's called a comparative advantage compared to the United States. If we think of what they could produce with 1 unit of food, 1 unit of labor, and how that would shift if that labor was allocated somewhere else. So if Canada wanted to shift from 1 unit of labor in manufacturing and shift it to food production, they would only be giving up 50 cars for 100 units of food. Whereas in the United States, they give up 1 unit of labor and only get 50 units of food. So Canada is comparatively better at food production. We say Canada has a comparative advantage. So they give up less to produce more than the United States would. And comparative advantage is what's important for trade. If there is some reallocation of labor, let's say the United States realizes that it needs to focus on vehicle production because it's really good at vehicle production. It would shift 2 units away from agriculture into manufacturing, 100 units of cars. Canada, similarly, could shift to where it's more productive. It might want to move 1 unit of labor from cars over to agriculture. So its manufacturing sector is shrinking, agricultural capacity is growing. So with that shift in resources, and this could be natural market forces or it could be dictated by the government in industrial policy, but what's happened is we have increased the world totals. In this economy, this sort of simplified version of it, just by specializing, the countries have increased the world totals. They haven't added any new labor. They haven't increased production capacity. All they've done is shift the labor from one area to another, and that specialization has made the world, this 2-country trading relationship, more productive. So we can look at this. Before specialization, we've got 250 units of food, 150 units of vehicles. After specialization, we've increased the total food. Vehicles has remained the same. Everything's better after specialization. Not quite everyone, though. If you're the United States, you love access to food. Now you're not growing any food domestically. Canada, perhaps you want more vehicles. You've shifted away from vehicle production. So maybe there's a way of fixing that. By trade. If you have extra domestic capacity, you can export that to another country. If there's an area where you have weakness, you can import those goods. And we can do that in this simple economy. If Canada wants access to vehicles, it can import them from the United States. Similarly, the United States can import units of food from Canada. So by that trade, Canada can bring in vehicles from the United States instead of producing as many domestically. The Americans, instead of growing food domestically, they can import that from farmers in the prairies. And now they have been able to make up for any lost production because of the specialization. By trading, they've been able to make up that shortfall. Again, there's been no change in output. No, we haven't added more units of labor here. All we've done is have each country specialize in something and trade in areas where it's beneficial. So for the United States, cheaper for them to import food from Canada than grow it themselves. With Canada, easier for them to import vehicles from the United States while focusing on food production. Just to recap, before specialization, countries were good. We had overall output levels of 250 and 150 between agriculture and vehicles. But after specializing and trading, each country can be made better off in one area while increasing the world totals. Everyone is better off because of trade. Actually, not quite everybody, because if you were in one industry that is subject to import competition, things aren't great for you. If you're an American farmer where the resources have been shifted to agriculture, you're now out of business. And that's typically when industry might appeal to governments for help.